Holy shit, everybody. That was absolutely amazing. Welcome back to the channel. This is the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, and we are here for your NXT TakeOver Toronto review. And boy, what a review it's going to be, because what they gave us tonight at the Air Canada Centre in Toronto, Canada, live on the WWE Network, was simply heads above anything else we are going to see this weekend. Let's get into it. Alright, this show was absolutely fucking amazing. Right from its glorious beginning to its shocking finale, NXT TakeOver Toronto was everything that it was billed up to be. We talked about it earlier in the week. We did a little bit of a preview, and I told you then that this was going to be the show of the weekend, if not the show of the year. After the smoke has cleared and all is said and done, this show shows and is proof that NXT absolutely knows what they're doing, and even though they lost half their roster to Raw and SmackDown after the brand split, they continue to make and develop new faces, new stars, and are not afraid to surprise their very raucous and very, very passionate fan base. And we are going to get into this review right now. Started off, we had the highly anticipated Bobby Roode versus Ty Dillinger in a fantastic match. This was a very evenly contested back and forth match between the two. We had a segment where Bobby Roode was getting ready to leave. He had enough of Ty Dillinger, and Ty would bring him back into the ring. Ty Dillinger showed very confident and very, very new side of himself. He was playing with the crowd, taunting Bobby Roode throughout this match, almost kind of like a heel, but he definitely was not the heel. The glorious Bobby Roode. What can you say that has not already been said by that word? He's unbelievable. He has matured and grown into such a performer that I cannot wait to see what else he has in store down there at NXT. I don't want him to go to Raw. I definitely don't want him to go to SmackDown. I want him to stay right where he is and continue doing what he's doing, because he is absolutely glorious at what he does. And he picks up the win over Ty Dillinger. A lot of these matches are very hard to describe because they were so intense and the crowd was just so into it. What a hot start right from when Bobby came out. They continued when Ty came out. We had battling chants of glorious and 10, and the 10s would continue throughout the night. The crowd was having a fantastic time, which always makes me have a much better time sitting on my couch watching this thing go on. After Bobby Roode and Ty Dillinger, we had the finals of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. TM61, Shane Thorne and Nick Miller, who I absolutely just hate, by the way. Both of these guys just look like the guys that used to get beaten up every Saturday night on Superstars. I'm sorry, every Saturday on Superstars. That just were fed to these big superstars. They didn't mean anything. We used to call them weenie guys back in the day. My brother and I used to call them. And that's what they look like. They're a weenie guy tag team. And feel free to use that term. I can't stand TM61. And they were going up against the Authors of Pain, managed by Paul Ellering, former manager of the Legion of Doom, who was suspended high above the ring in a shark cage of sorts, and a very entertaining match. TM61, despite my disdain for them, did impress me. They showed some tremendous strength in this match, at one point throwing around the big guys, Razor and Akam. I don't like those names either, but it doesn't matter what I like. These guys are badasses to the core. They would destroy me in literally half a breath. And I waited to see them destroy TM61. And it didn't come quickly. TM61 put up a great fight, and it was a very entertaining match. Paul Ellering, despite being suspended in the air, would try to lend his trickery to the match by dropping a steel chain from the top. The chain would not end up being used, so it was to no avail. But in the end, the Authors of Pain pick up the win, taking home the trophy for this year's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. There was no team that could have beaten this team. They're the team to beat right now, and I'm looking forward to seeing them take on whoever will be the NXT Tag Team Champions by the end of this show. After this match, we went on to see who would be the Tag Team Champions in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Scott Dawson Dash Wilder versus DIY. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Oh my God. This match, as I and many people have predicted, is the absolute best match of the weekend. I don't even have to see Survivor Series to tell you. This is the match to watch. If you had a friend that didn't know jack shit about wrestling and you wanted to show them a match to get them hooked, this is that match. Turn on your network, load up TakeOver Toronto, and queue up Gargano and Ciampa, DIY versus The Revival, 2 out of 3 falls. And right out of the gate, The Revival, in an amazing turn of events, would hit the Shatter Machine quite early in the match and get the first fall. It would be quite some time until we would see Gargano and Ciampa fight their way back to even their score at 1-1. The important thing to take note about this match is that it solidifies, at least in my view, The Revival as the greatest tag team on the planet. They say that they are, and they're telling you the truth. There is no better tag team that I have seen in even the last 5 years, maybe even 10. They do everything that a tag team should do. They have each other's back 100%. They can read each other's minds to a point. They know how to cut off the ring. They stop their opponents from tagging. The legal man will make his way to the outside and pull the other guy down, or he'll jump into the path of the opponent who's trying to make it to his partner for the tag. They are geniuses at the technical and psychological part of the tag team wrestling game. I absolutely love this team. They are the best heel team on the roster. Nobody does a better bad guy team than Dawson and Wilder, The Revival. Unbelievable, you guys. Go back and check it out. The third fall would be given to our new tag team champions of NXT, DIY. Man, I can't even do this match any justice. I can't do any of these matches justice. I would have loved to have been ringside to try to help call this action, but I would have probably been dumbfounded as I sat here in front of my TV with my jaw down to the floor, my eyes bugged out as I sat through this whole entire show, and it just kept delivering hit after hit, literally and figuratively. This tag team match would go back and forth more times than a cuckoo clock, man. It just was non-stop, unbelievable action. Check this match out if you have not seen it. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There are no words for that match except fucking amazing. We had the returning Mickie James coming in to take on Asuka, our NXT Women's Champion. This was, again, another fantastic showcase of actual wrestling on the card. These girls went out there to beat each other up. They didn't want to go out there and look pretty. Mickie James wasn't worried about making her return. She was absolutely solid in the ring. She did not miss a step. People saying you still got it, and that is incorrect because she obviously has never lost anything to still. It's just unbelievable the way she's able to step right back into the ring. She didn't miss a beat against an opponent like Asuka, who really took it to her. She was taking some stiff shots, and Mickie James did her very best to try to wrestle that title away from Asuka. But at the end of the day, the Princess of Tomorrow, the Empress of Tomorrow, it's way more prestigious than a princess, is still our NXT Women's Champion, tapping out the returning Mickie James. After the match, most interestingly to me, was that Mickie James would offer her hand in congratulations to shake hands and bury the hatchet, and Asuka would just raise the title over her head, not shake hands with the challenger, and maybe we're getting that little bit of a heel turn coming for Asuka. She's going to be the lead bad girl on NXT as Ember Moon rises. Yeah, I like that. You like that I did that? I like that. Then, of course, it was time for our main event. The King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura, and the Samoan submission machine, Samoa Joe, would go one-on-one again for the NXT Championship. And once again, they would not disappoint. However, this was a very strange match. The entrance aside, let's just talk about that for a minute. Shinsuke, last time we were at TakeOver, was led to the ring by a live violinist. This time, they had about 6 violinists, maybe more, and none of them were actually playing the track. It was very blatant. It was very obvious. You could have at least paid these guys enough to keep their stroking in time with the music. At least try to appear to be playing the song. If the entire NXT fan base and the whole WWE universe that were in attendance knows how the violin part goes, because we sing it loudly and we sing it proudly, how could you not follow along with your arms? I could do it. I could pretend to be a conductor and not miss a beat and do the whole whoa, whoa. It's very easy. Any idiot can do it. My 4-year-old daughter would be able to do it if I spent about 2 minutes with her showing her how to do it. And that was a little disappointing, and I hope I never see that again. Be that as it may, the match itself, outstanding. Samoa Joe would be in control for about 90% of this match. He seemed to have the champion's number at every turn. Shinsuke Nakamura would knock the shit out of Samoa Joe. He just knocked this guy around. They were throwing bombs all night at each other. Samoa Joe ended up busted open, bleeding. They were really, really going at each other. Shinsuke Nakamura was a victim tonight of the Samoan Beast. Joe just focused his whole entire attack on the knees. The knees, which are Shinsuke Nakamura's biggest weapon. And he wasn't afraid to use them despite the pain that he was in. Samoa Joe gave him a triple suplex, a German suplex into a dragon suplex into a straightjacket suplex. I forget what he calls it now. Corey Graves made it a point to mention it, and I didn't write it down, and I totally forgot it, as I knew I would. But very impressive. He's done it before. We haven't seen it in a long time. And he was not letting up on Shinsuke Nakamura at all. The attack would go into the crowd, outside the ring. He set up the steel steps to drive Nakamura into them. Nakamura would fight his way out, but they would come into play at the end of the match, as the referee was concerned for Samoa Joe, as he was laid up on the side of the ring, barely able to stand, leaning up against the apron. Shinsuke wanting to hit him with one more Kinshasa to finally fell the beast, and the referee would get kind of in between the two. Samoa Joe would shove him out of the way and in turn kick Nakamura in the balls. He would then successfully drive Nakamura through the steel steps on the outside, throw him into the ring, hits him with a muscle buster, and to my shock and awe, 1, 2, 3, Samoa Joe becomes the first ever 2-time NXT champion, and nobody, in my mind, is more deserved of having that accolade. Samoa Joe proved to the world tonight that he is legit. He can take a beating, he will dish a beating, and he's going to be sure to have his hand raised at the end. This guy was like a rabid bear in there. He has been pissed off at Shinsuke Nakamura for 2 months, ever since he first lost the title at NXT Brooklyn, and he's regretted it ever since, and he took liberties with Shinsuke tonight. Samoa Joe is a beast. And there is one person on this roster that maybe if by WrestleMania, I don't know, with him being the champion of NXT now, I want to see Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar. It's widely been discussed amongst YouTube podcasters and internet wrestling community. There is only one person that could ever believably beat Brock Lesnar, and that is your two-time NXT champion, Samoa Joe. Make it happen, WWE. That's your review. I mean, we can't really get that much more into it. Like I said, my words would do it no justice. If you didn't see the show, go back and watch the show. If you saw the show, you know I can't really get in depth because this was just an amazing experience. NXT TakeOver Toronto, everything I hoped it would be, everything I always knew it could be, and I hope to see continued success in the yellow and black brand because there's no stopping them. The way they filled that arena tonight, it was second to none. It looked like they were in like a Raw arena. There was that many people there. They could fill and sell out arenas on this stuff, and the crowd atmosphere is different at an NXT show. They're there to have a good time, and they absolutely showed it. Toronto, always a hot crowd, always a very knowledgeable wrestling crowd. They did this show justice. They had a great night. A lot of good interactions, a lot of good chants going on. What a tremendous show. My body's all amped up, man. I'm still in like such a shock, and my adrenaline's still pumping. That's part of the reason why this is probably all coming out all jumbled up. But I want to get it up and I want to get it out there. Some guys got to work. I got to get up and get to work tomorrow, and I want to have this review up and out there early in the morning for you guys so that we can get to it before we sit through tomorrow night's Survivor Series and hope for the very best. And I will try to get a review up for that as well before Monday. No promises, but I will do my very best. Thank you once again for tuning into the channel. I am Nick Nightmare. This has been the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show NXT TakeOver Toronto review for my boy Blue, the Snowball Microphone, who makes me sound so good each and every week. I want to thank you guys for being here. Come back for more tomorrow night, Survivor Series. Enjoy the show.